Okay, so the portfolio, I was just talking about the schedule. It will be due, the very last assignment due, it's going to be due Friday, July 30th. So it's the last day of the class period is the 29th. The 30th is the last day of the semester. So I can't really make it any other day, right? If you want to see where this is, where this assignment is, it's under the assignment sheet, and it's under the assignments tab on Blackboard. It's all the way down at the very bottom. So you can look at those files, now, save them to your flash drive or your computer, print them off if you need to, whatever works for you, but that's where it's going to be. This is worth 50 points. There are two sections to this. One is required, so everybody has to do the required section. And the optional part is, well, optional, but it could be very helpful depending on what you've done so far in the class. So the 50 points go to the required section, which everybody has to do. And so for the final portfolio, you should return to all of the former assignments that you have. I have inventions. That's not what I didn't have them this semester. I've had them previous semesters, but formal essays, rough drafts, anything with conference, complex book entries, answer bibliography, anything I left a comment on, you should return and go back. So what a lot of people sometimes do is they'll just remember what I've said. You really want to return back because sometimes maybe there was a comment that you missed early on in the semester, or you didn't realize how comments have changed or not changed throughout the semester. You really want to look, that's what you're going to be looking at. My comments on citations, on annotations, on paragraphs from complex book entries, on your essays, on anything I've left a comment on is going to be that. And after reviewing those comments, you're going to write a one-page double-spaced letter to me, analyzing and reflecting on the feedback that I've provided this semester. So I have a lot of questions here that you don't necessarily have to answer. They're there for you to gain inspiration, to think about what you might want to write about. You could answer all of them. You could write your whole page on one of them. You could use them to think about something similar. So they're there. You don't have to say, here's a question, write a paragraph. Don't do that. It should be one formal letter. You could answer some of them specifically. You could only answer two. It depends, but they're there to help you think more critically about your comments. So for example, one of my questions is, did my comments change as the semester went on? So if they did change, maybe they reflected growth. If they didn't change, maybe they changed in relation to some areas. Maybe I stopped commenting on paragraph formation, but I still commented on something else. Does that mean you still need to work on that whatever that might be? Does that mean you've improved in some ways? How have my comments reflecting your growth in some areas, or maybe room to still grow in some other areas? Did you find that my comments helped you revise for future writing assignments throughout the semester? Why or why not? So, comments on essay number 1, I'm assuming that you're reading my feedback, that you're looking at my comments, and you're using that to work on essay number 2. Same thing, essays number 1 and 2, I'm assuming that you're reading my feedback, you're learning from them, and helping them with future assignments for answer bibliography, for essay number 3, and so on and so forth. So I'm assuming that everything is building off of each other and that you're learning. So did they help? They not? Tell them, how, if not, explain how they did not help if they didn't, or how they did and why. What kind of writer am I asking you to be, and what might I ask you to be this particular writer? What kind of questions do I seem to be wanting you to ask, and how do you feel about my challenges to your ideas, if there were any? So again, you don't have to necessarily answer any one of these questions, but they're there to help you think of more critically, have some type of concrete idea. But you could write about something else. Regardless, you have to be analyzing and reflecting on the comments that I left throughout the semester. If you need to provide specific evidence, so maybe if you want to quote a specific comment that I left and think about that, you could do that as well. And so I'm not providing an example portfolio for this, an example letter, because each and every one of you will be doing something different, because my feedback is different for everybody. So depending on what you need, I'm providing different feedback for each and every one of you. So nobody should be writing an identical letter, similar to last semester. So I'm really looking for you individually, how you've been reading, how you've been thinking about those commentaries throughout the semester. And in the optional section, you can revise one or all three of the formal essays throughout the semester for a potentially better grade, okay? So everybody has to do the required letter, but the optional section is, well, optional. You don't have to do it, but this is a do-over. So if you're looking at your grade or you're looking at what you've done this semester and you want to improve, this is where you improve, okay? You get a second chance. So you can potentially earn up to 100%. This does not count the peer review grade. So if like peer review wasn't participated in one time, that doesn't count. So say the peer, like essay number 1, you didn't do peer review, you can only earn up to 90 points, but still you could earn up all those full 90 points. If you choose to revise an assignment, I say you must submit them all in the same document, but I've thus learned that you can submit more than one file to Blackboard. I didn't used to know that because Blackboard can be weird. So if you can submit more than one file, if it's Blackboard's letting you do that, submit different files. It's going to be easier. Make sure you're labeling them appropriately. So if you're doing like essay number, so if you have like portfolio letter, you can label it portfolio letter. You have essay number 1 revision, label it something similar. So label it things that I can tell what they are. If you try to upload different files and it doesn't work, just put them all in the same document. You can do it that way. But you must, if you are revising, you should be making changes beyond grammar. So if you need to edit, do edit. But if it's only changing commas or word spelling or something along those lines and not any heavier revisions, that's not going to result in a lot of points earned back. Okay, so if you need to change paragraph formation, go back to my comments, kind of revise. And yes, number 1, I know it was like last month, but still, hopefully you've learned a lot since then. And you can change and expand on what you've learned and return back to your idea. And maybe if you need to revise your thesis, or anything else that you might have. So making sure you're doing any edits that you might need, but also, more importantly, the larger ideas in paragraph formation, the harder elements of writing. Excuse me. On your revised draft, you must highlight anything that you changed. Even if it's an edit or a citation change, I am not going to be looking through your entire paper, hunting for what you changed. One semester, years ago, on a student's portfolio, they only changed one sentence and told me that they revised. And so I spent 30 minutes trying to find one sentence. And by the end of it, I was kind of aggravated because I just felt like I wasted my time. So one, I can easily see if you're changing anything, and I'm going to really focus on those areas that you're making changes to. But also, you as a writer are able to see how much you're changing. So if you think you revised a lot and you only ended up highlighting like 2 sentences, that's probably not going to be as heavy of a revision as you thought. So not only is it going to help me understand what you changed, but it's going to help you understand what you changed. If you end up rewriting the whole essay, you don't have to necessarily highlight anything. Just make sure it says rewrite on the top, so I know that you've completely changed everything, and then also act like it's a completely different draft. And so if you're not rewriting, highlighting. If it's a huge paragraph, if it's just a smaller edit change, no matter what you're doing, you highlight what you changed. You can revise one assignment or all assignments. So if you want to do all 3 essays or just one, you can do that. The more work you put into your revisions, the better your grade would potentially be. I will say when it comes to essay number 3, we're not going to have a ton of time. So we've got essay number 3, final draft, due Wednesday night on July 28th. And the portfolio day, I have a portfolio workshop day on Thursday, July 29th. That's really so I can grade your papers. So, because if they were due Thursday night and your portfolio was due the next night, I would have no time to grade them. I have to have at least a day. So Thursday, your portfolio workshop day, yes, you're working on that. I don't know if I'll have essay number 3 done by class period on Thursday, but you can at least like work on your letter or work on your other essays that you revised. And I will try that on Thursday to grade your papers, so that at the very minimum you have, you know, the rest of Thursday and Friday then to see if you do need room to revise. You should already know where your feedback lies in your essay number 3 through peer review and conferences. So those are just a few days before that essay 3 is due. So it shouldn't be any surprise if like you don't revise anything and I give you feedback that's the same from conferences. That's not going to be a huge difference. Okay. So because they're really quick, really fast, you should have some idea, some ballpark what my feedback is going to be. Unless you like completely change something, you still need to work on something. Like maybe you completely rewrote a section, but there's still something that needs to be worked on, and I'll comment on that in whatever way. Does anybody have any questions about the final portfolio?